I was last with a group from your movement in Agora Hills in March, and that was really a great experience. I live just up the freeway in Valencia, and so anyway, it was fun to be able to drive down and hang out with a whole group of pastors that were from that particular part of the country. And so now we're in a completely different part of the country with different pastors, different churches, different cultures, serving though in churches that are God's idea, reaching people, and in cultures that even though they're different, the message that we have is the same. And the power of God to change people's lives doesn't change at all. And that's a pretty sweet deal when you think about this incredible task and trust that we've been given to steward from God. And so anyway, Randy reflects on our relationship as a true friendship, and it really is. Whatever I've been able to offer has been an honor and a privilege, but sometimes I wonder if Randy understands how much that he and Pastor Joe and your movement has given us. And it's a lot. And so I'm very, very grateful for the relationship. And I bring greetings and salutations from my wife. She is right now, as we talk, she's having coffee and donuts with members of our church plant. We're a part of a church plant there in Valencia, California, and then people in our cul-de-sac, because they're moving us to a new house today. And so anyway, that's all happening today. And there's a part of me that feels a little bit bad and a little guilty about not being there, but that's a very small part. And so when I get home tomorrow afternoon or evening, I'm going to drive to a different house, and everything will be in that house. And anyway, and I know I have to make it up with my wife, but the cool part about it is that we have a church plant that have just rallied around us, and we're not the pastors of that plant. It actually was a church plant that I began coaching personally with the pastors, and we were attending on a Saturday night while we were attending a different Foursquare church on Sundays. But it was about 6 months into the process we realized that this church plant that we were coaching had become, in every sense of the word, our community of faith in all ways. And we were now attending the larger church, but it was more in a spectator mode. And we ended up formalizing the relationship, and so that group of people now, as our family, are moving us. And so I rest at ease. Although I did tell Randy this morning that when I woke up early and I had a hard time getting back to sleep, all I could think of is there anybody in this church plant that knows how to tie down a load? Because they're going to be moving our stuff. And I remember moving somebody where a piano fell out of the back of a truck, and so I'm hopeful that somebody does indeed know how to tie down a load. So we'll see. There's something sad about our move, though, because we're leaving a cul-de-sac of 11 households, including ours, and us and our right next door neighbors to the left are the only Christians in that cul-de-sac. Everybody else is unsaved. And we know them very well. We've had them over in our home and done these barbecues and these gatherings, and we've attended the same at other people's houses. And it's interesting is that the unsaved people that are in the cul-de-sac that are available are there this morning helping us move. However, our Christian next door neighbors are not. And anyway, and my relationship with them has been very strange, just because they seem to be kind of personify the ultimate in terms of Western Christianity, where they come to church as a consumer, and if you as a pastor would provide them with goods and services that measure up to what they think they ought to receive according to the tithe that they give, then they're with you. Assuming, of course, that if things get a little bit out of whack and they tell you what they dislike about what's happening and you adjust it for them, then they'll continue the tithe and it'll all go. Is anybody on edge right now with what I'm describing? And so anyway, the other day it was 108 degrees. I'm at the end of the day, it's still very hot. And anyway, Leonard, who is 3 houses to my right, he's a gay man who that day had grabbed like 3 of his buddies that were over. My wife was trying to load boxes, and I had another load, and she comes out with a big heavy box. Well, the 4 of them ran over and went in and completely loaded the truck for her. Completely, it was just like compassion oozed out of them. Now my Christian neighbors, as I was at the end of the day coming out, and I was just trying to load, the patio table it's light but it's awkward, it seats 8 people. Well, I'm trying to wrestle it over the fence, so I rest it on the fence, and then I go through the gate while I'm holding it. It's just, it wouldn't take much for somebody to come give me a hand. And anyway, and my 2 neighbors come over, husband and wife, and she's got a big frosty tall glass of iced tea. And she just says, "Wow, that looks hard." That's what she says. And neither one of them lift a hand to help. And she says, "It looks like things are progressing, and you guys are going to be out here on time." And I said, "Yeah, we are." But I said, "Man, this heat's just killing me." Here's what she said. She said, "Quit your crying. It's a dry heat." Now, I love God. I really do. But I even think Jesus was tempted to slug her at that moment. I want to bring greetings from Pastor Jack Hayford. I don't know how many of you know of him, but he's my boss. And anyway, this last Thursday, he was in the office, and he was talking about our staff and his relationship, because he's concluding his 5-year term as our president, and he was basically saying goodbye. As of September 1st, our new interim president, Glenn Burris, will be taking over, and in a year we'll elect a new president. We don't know who that will be, but it's been 5 years with Pastor Jack. It's been really a wonderful time. I know he has a special heart for you. And so his message is just to be blessed, to rest in the presence and the guidance of the Holy Spirit, because God surely is with you. And then he thanked me for being willing to go, and I told him that it's been our honor and privilege to be a part of your journey in whatever way God's opened up that door. But he was really wishing that he could be here. But greetings from him. And then, just congratulations on navigating the name change to Grace Communion. I think it's more descriptive of who you are, as a movement. I think the process you've navigated in the world, what Grace Communion means. And I think that's going to be a fun journey. For me, communicating what Foursquare means is sometimes fun, it's sometimes a little difficult. Like the repairman the other day who asked me about what I do. I told him, and he kind of reacted like, "Okay, whoa," and he was afraid that I was going to evangelize him or something. I'm thinking, you asked the question. And anyway, but then he finally said, "So Foursquare, does that mean you guys like worship a 4-headed God or what?" And so that's the stuff that you kind of have to wade through. Grace Communion seems like it's not going to come with that kind of baggage. So I loved what Pastor Joe said last night. He said these words, "I'm in a better representation of Jesus Christ, or we're being or becoming something else." And I love that, because it's such a process orientation. It acknowledges the fact that we haven't arrived, but little bit by little bit, we're getting there. And so to whatever degree that you feel like you're midstream and maybe a bit frustrated in your ministry venue, whether it's in the local church or even a discipling relationship you have with either a non-believer or a new believer or an established believer, whatever that is, being and becoming, they're powerful words. They really are. And in our movement, one of the things that I know that I'm charged with the responsibility is to try to nurture and see birthed a real love for mission and a missional effectiveness. And for my purposes, in my particular area of responsibility, that means that we have a focus. I want to see this happen more and more and more in our movement, is a focus on reaching the lost, on discipling leaders, and multiplying churches. And that there would be a natural progression that would happen. And to whatever degree that we can, that every one of our pastors and churches would be involved in those 3 things.